Hey, welcome. I'm Theresa Croft. So glad you're listening. So, this is it, the new name, Unleashing Kingdom Voices, or is it Kingdom? It's really hard to make this change because the Kingdom Enter podcast was so highly listed, but I really felt like I needed to make the change, Unleashing Kingdom Voices, because unleashing voices of AI, unleashing voices of challenges that are sacred, unleashing voices of speakers. So I think you get the hint. Hey, lots of pivots coming on here behind the scenes. Check out theresacroft.com. You'll find some of them. One of them I'm really excited about. That's podcasting made easy with AI. Be checking out for that. Meanwhile, let me introduce my guest. I am so excited to have this young lady. So, Virginia Hatfield, she's a certified speaker who shares how she went from skunk thoughts to transformational herself, to thinking God thoughts. Believe me, that is a powerful thought just in itself. She helps women work through their limiting beliefs, the skunk thoughts, into a life that is transformed by teaching them how to hear God's voice, God's thoughts. And I got to tell you, Virginia is a farm daughter, a farm wife, a dairy farmer's wife for the past 35 years. So she gets up way earlier than me. So please, please, please help me welcome. There she is, my friend, Virginia Hatfield. Hey, Virginia, we're going to get up close and personal. So what did you tell me before we went on?
Oh, well, I'm excited that I'm here, that you invited me into your podcast and into your audience, and I'm just super excited. Well, what I told Theresa
Yes, please.
right before we got on is, hey, I put makeup on for you. So for you podcast people can't see this glow that I actually created.
Yeah, those of you on the video, look how beautiful she is. Those who are listening, just imagine Virginia Hatfield with makeup on. Go to
Yeah,
her Facebook
because
page.
like I told Theresa, I said I only put makeup on for the people I love.
Oh, I love it. So, I know lots on your heart, but just why don't you just tell our audience briefly in your own words, kind of what you're up to right now and what you're about?
Well, what I'm about is I am about transforming women's lives and getting them equipped so that they can unleash their voice and they can start telling their transformational journey, because that's our testimony, so that others can see our transformation, and through us they want to know, how can I get that?
And
How do I get to know Jesus like you have? And
yeah,
that's very important for me, because I spent a lot of years as a farm daughter, as a dairy farmer's wife, being just sick with the limiting beliefs in my head, that I couldn't do it, that I
yeah,
wasn't good enough, that I wasn't smart enough. And I tell you, once you've been transformed, you can't shut up about Jesus and
yeah.
how he's transformed you. And that's what I just want other women to be transformed
Yeah.
and have this joy in their heart.
Tell us about that journey that one day when this revelation came to you. I think you were out with your dog. Tell us about that walk you went where God just kind of like hit you with this.
Yes. Well, you see, my dog Summer loves to go on walks, and she also loves to chase cats. Cats of any sizes, any color. Well, she is a little confused about a skunk. She thinks a skunk is just a black and white striped cat. And so every time she sees a skunk, she takes off and she starts chasing it. Of course, she doesn't hear me yelling, get back, Summer, come back to mama so you don't get sprayed and that. But one day, she just happened to hear me yelling at her and calling for her for obedience and saying, Summer, come back, come back, come back. Turned and she pivoted and she came running back to me. Therefore, she did not get sprayed and and have to spend a week trying to get the smell off her. She didn't have to get the bath that night with with everything I have
Yeah.
for her. And that's when all of a sudden I heard God say, yeah, daughter, that's just like you, because you're the same way. You go running and chasing after this shiny obstacle and this shiny obstacle to make money and to make money.
Yeah.
And what you don't realize is, if you just hear my voice and see my plan, you wouldn't get sprayed. You wouldn't
Awesome.
smell like a skunk and end up being skunked. So
That's
that's
good.
the lesson I learned that day.
That's a powerful thought. And you are now a certified radiant speaker. And that was your TED talk. That was your Kim 10 talk. And it was so
Yep.
awesome. Virginia and I, let me just share this. Well, I didn't know a soul before going into this conference. It's Girl Power Alliance is what we're talking about. And there was a speaker academy before the actual conference. And I had just two prayers. I knew I was going to be rooming with Ginny and a bunch of other girls, but I didn't know them. And I remember my prayer was like, God, just let me find one friend that I can connect with. God was quick. It was the very first night we went out to dinner, and I'm like, God, you are so good. Because Virginia knew everyone, but all I had to do was look at her, and she'd save me a seat, front row, of course, just all those kind of things. So that's the kind of person Virginia is, as real as they get, but a heartfelt transformation of Jesus. So why don't you tell us a little bit, what helped you move in that area of eliminating limiting beliefs, really knowing your identity? What was the vehicle that God used to help you with that?
Well, one of the vehicles was the Radiant Leadership Academy that Girl Power Alliance has. That's one of their other main
programs or
programs that they have.
Yeah.
That's one of their flag programs.
Yeah.
And it's a 16-week biblical leadership program where you take 16 weeks and you dive deep into different pillars of your life.
Right.
And that. And the first time I went through it, I just, because I almost, quit, GPA and the first round of RLA because I mean, here I am. It was an early morning class, and so I had to milk cows in the morning. And so usually when I get in from milking cows, it's usually somewhere between 8:30, 8:45 Central Time in the morning. And the classes were always like 9 o'clock in the morning. So I literally usually only had like 15 minutes to like dash in, get a shower, and get up here to my office. And that, so it was one of those mornings, I don't even think I probably had 15 minutes. And so I came in and I was just dripping with wet hair, and it was just kind of plastered. And I just had a holy, I didn't have this nice, sweatshirt on. I just had a regular farm sweatshirt on. And then, I seen all these beautiful women in the in the Zoom room. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm thinking, what have I got myself into? Because I knew that I was never going to be, good enough in this group. And so I listened, through it. And then I sent Michelle a message. I said, I think I'm in the wrong place. I said, I am just not pretty enough. I am not smart enough. I am not equipped to do this. And that's when Michelle Schaefer, she's the CEO of Girl Power Alliance, sent me back a message and said, oh no, daughter. Oh no, you are supposed to be here. That's exactly why you're supposed to be here, because you need to change your mindset. You need to get equipped. And so I went through that first 16 weeks, turned around, went through a second 16 weeks, turned around, went through another third one, turned around, went through a fourth one, and I'm now on my fifth one.
Wow, so good.
But part of that too was also the Radiant Speaker Academy. That's where all of a sudden I learned that, okay, I have all these thoughts and I've changed so much.
Yeah.
But how do I put it together and share it with other people?
Yeah.
And that's what the Radiant Speaker Academy, the RSA, helped me do. It made me release my voice, and it made me step up to leadership.
Wow, so good.
Because I knew I'm equipped now.
Yeah. What you just said, so many people could relate to. And I could relate to some of those things you said too. Like when I was going to the conference, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be me. I'm going to wear my tennis shoes up on the stage. I may be around a bunch of frilly girls, but I'm just going to be, I had to have therapy to get there. Let me tell you, I had to go through that with my friend Alana, who was coaching me with neurocycle at that time. So, and then this is the key. I am not good enough. those feelings of that's like, I think, a battle for so many women. And
Mhm.
that's why when you step up to the plate like this and share your transformation, share that you're worthy, you're called, you got a voice. And I really think, I'm passionate because my podcast, everything I do is centered around your voice. So you just gave an example of working through getting hooked with something. Radiant Leadership Academy is powerful. I mean, they go through every facet you can imagine, but you just didn't go through it, you took action. That's
Mhm.
beautiful, because I think, I'll be honest, one of the first 60 days that I worked on was that feeling of I'm not good enough. And my I'm not good enough showed up in having to overstudy everything I did. Okay, imposter syndrome, and I'm really able to do this. And I'm sure you can relate. And tell us your thoughts as you were preparing for stepping out on stage. Here you go from I'm not good enough, I don't belong into this group. Hold on. Wow, could you have heard me through all that? Doggone it. I don't know if it was recorded. My little button was off. So we'll just pick it up where we left off. Could you hear me though when I was talking?
Yep, I could hear you.
Okay, this is live. So take us through. I'll have to see what happens on the record. Take us through that thought of going from this place of, oh, I'm not good enough, to I'm not pretty enough, to then putting yourself out there, going through the program, Radiant Speaker Academy. It's like, what is it, 9 weeks online? Then you have to make a decision. Am I going to go on stage with this? Tell us the journey and your thoughts as you got into that place.
Well, as I started into the RSA, the Radiant Speaker Academy, that first 9 weeks, because I actually took it twice. I was able to take it twice, the actual course end of it. And the first time through it, it was about the third week in, and that was about the time for my birthday. And I always gift myself a personal development course or coaching for my birthday every year. And so when they said that, that you could get certified and go on stage, and you could get the training from like four, coaches that do this for a living. And I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of neat. And then, but at the same time, I'm thinking, can I do it? And then I heard God say, yeah, that's why you're doing this. You are going to do that. You're going to get up on stage and you're going to do this. You're going to learn how to be exactly equipped. And this is exactly the course I want you to go through and do. And so, so just get busy and just, do it. And so I'm like, okay. So I signed up, sent the money, and I did it. And then I got like, oh my God. Then I got panicky, because then I'm like,
Sure.
what the heck did I do? I just, you know, I can't believe I did this, like, because we had like all summer, and
Yeah.
fall to like until like October to get it. And so, so I got there, to the conference, where we were going to have the certification. And I had it, and I'd worked with another accountability partner
Okay.
through it to get at that part, because after every section, there's a homework that
Sure.
you put together
Yeah.
in that. But when I got there, Theresa was my roommate, and we had the room to ourselves for like a night or
That's
so,
awesome. Yeah.
and that, or at least for a while, we did. So we worked on our on our talks, our Chem 10 talks.
Yes.
And she was really awesome. I mean, she helped me like take it down, pare it down to where it was a little more simpler, a little more fluent. And so I was able to like get it really down to under
Mhm.
10 minutes, and it sound good.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot. I'm very appreciative of that.
Yeah, we had fun though. We were just, and it
Yeah,
was funny. Didn't even know you, and here I am. No, you need to get that section out. This is awesome, but you need to, it was just like, I thought, well, bless her heart. I hope
I
she.
know.
It was like,
Imagine.
your version of dealing with me. My first, they give you a practice run, and I practically threw up on the stage. Meaning, I had 23 years of stuff, and and they must have worked with me for 20 minutes afterwards, not critiquing us, they were just encouraging me to pare it down and how
Mhm.
to go from there. So it was like that was safe place.
It
Okay.
was.
You're going to be around safe people. I'm just really excited about this academy because I think anyone can go through it. Do you have to be through Girl Power Alliance? No, they do offer it retail. Talk to Ginny or myself about that. But yeah, it's a really amazing part of Girl Power Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
So many people, Ginny, I'm in this other mastermind. So many people are like, how do I get the stage? How do I practice? Where do I go? And one thing I think about Girl Power Alliance is that is a stage. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to go through it again to learn some more. And I believe sometimes you have to pay to get on a stage, but it's a chance once again to get this video of you on stage, to be able to say, okay, she was on stage somewhere. If you really want to be a speaker, sometimes you have to pay a few places before you get paid. I'm just something I'm learning. And then you make a little speaker reel, a 4-minute reel of all the different places you've spoke at to build your credibility. And I think if I know right, I think most of us wouldn't mind speaking. I know when we were talking, I wasn't the first day, but you were sharing some of your stories, and I just looked at you and I said, I see you speaking in front of women conferences, sharing your stories, but still sharing your truths of transformation. Mm-hmm. Remember that night? You were just, I was just sitting there. I did have popcorn. I was just eating my popcorn, listening to you. Like, it's so, you got so great farm stories and stuff. So I hope this is encouraging someone that, it's really easy to think you're not good enough. Let's speak to that. How did you really go through? I know it was a Radiant Leadership Academy, but what were some nuggets that helped you through the way of realizing, hey, wait a minute, I am good enough? Anything that comes to mind?
I think, a lot of times, is stepping up and especially this is for stage 2, is changing the atmosphere, because you're the one that when you walk into a room or you walk up on that stage, it's up to you to change the atmosphere. You have to bring up that power on that, because that's Jesus inside you. And you have to activate Jesus and let the world know that you are activated in Jesus. And when you do that, all of a sudden, when I do that, all of a sudden my fears just go away, and I can just feel the crowd just like coming into me, and like they're wanting to know what I have to say, because they want to know, what is this light? What is this excitement she has to share? And that was one thing when I walked on stage. And another thing too was knowing my identity. When you go through Radiant Leadership Academy, and that the first pillar, it really tears you down to what you really believe. Who are you in God, and who is God to you? And when you truly take time and answer those questions to yourself, and you realize that God is not this great big scary guy up in the sky that's going to condemn you and is going to be mean to you, that he is a loving father, and that he only wants the best for you, and he's going to give you the best, but you first have to seek him out. He's a gentleman, so he is not going to rudely yank you into his area. He's going to be very patient and have you ask him, God, come into my life, search my heart, show me what I need to change. And when you do that, things start changing in your life, and when you kind of go astray, and you, because things are good, and you kind of get into this habit, like, okay, I can do everything on my own again, because, it's kind of our default.
Yeah.
We like to try to do everything on our own. And being a dairy farmer's wife, I'm used to being in charge. And so that is one of the things that the Lord is talking to me about, that no, he's in charge, not you, daughter.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of times, he has to, like, come here, remember, skunks are out there. Listen to me so you won't get skunked. Because, you can't have skunk thoughts and God thoughts at the same time. You've got to change. You have to choose.
So good. I love it. And Virginia definitely captured, and we went into our conference, and everyone did, and Virginia captured the hearts. And I wish I had the picture. At the end of the conference, they were awarding out awards. What award did you get, girl?
Radiant Leadership of the Year, along with my first accountability partner, Ferris Lowe, who's from Dublin, Ireland.
That is so awesome. Oh, my computer crashed at the beginning. So if you're just watching and just catching this in, this is Virginia Hatfield. And let me tell you, this is a lady that understands what you are going through. If you're feeling like you don't feel like you're enough, you don't realize that you are called, worthy, and more than enough. I hope this is encouraging you. So we're talking about it. I'm not afraid to talk about it, but tell me more. We're both in Girl Power Alliance on the side of our other jobs that we have. But let's say, and then we'll talk about the Sacred 60 Challenge, but tell us a little more about someone who maybe isn't familiar. You're saying Girl Power Alliance. What is that? Why don't you explain a little bit more about it?
Well, Girl Power Alliance is a community of women that that you can come into. And what this community has is it not only has Christian women in there that are entrepreneurs, that are leaders, and you can be a leader in your own family. So if you're just if you're a mom that, maybe doesn't have a business right now, but she wants to have more, a closer walk with God, this is a great way for you to get that. It also, Girl Power Alliance is a personal, professional, spiritual development and leadership development company, and with Christ resources. And so they have these Christ resources because in the personal and professional development world out there, there's a lot of new age out there. There's a lot of coaches out there that are not teaching from the Bible.
Yeah.
And I actually paid, for like a $7,000 course.
Yeah.
And I realized that the mindset was all based on new age.
Ooh,
And it was like set up for a year. So I didn't get any use out of that.
Wow.
Nope, I am not going back in this and that. And, and when you have like a Hindu coach,
Ooh, that's tough. Yeah.
that set me up, because I was supposed to get a coach for a year. We were supposed to have weekly check-ins, and I just couldn't do it.
Sure.
And now I know why, because at the time I was so frustrated because, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting it. And now I know why, because God's like, oh, you're too precious, dear. I'm not going to let you get messed up with that thinking.
So good. Yeah.
And so, GPA, Girls Power Alliance, actually has a very nice income resource attached to it. And we have several resources attached now to it. I mean, I'm wearing one of the clothes.
Yeah.
Wear your face clothing line.
Yeah.
And that's so, and, so that's a way that we can pay for our membership. And then you start inviting other friends to check out the membership, and they see the value in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I am already in, I've been already in profit mode because I have, referrals underneath me that are sharing it out too.
It's just a great way to leverage. It's not like you do 40 hours a week, but you're sharing about something that's changing you and transforming you. So there's no other greater way than to find something like this. Now, Girl Power Alliance, if you want a taste of it, I think you can help me with this, Virginia, but they're having the Sacred 60 Challenge starting in January. These are not goals, okay? I just wanted to tell you that. These are just like those things that, to me, they're non-negotiable. Time in the Word, Thanksgiving, daily walks, daily talks. So I would invite you to join us and taste it, get a taste of just living with community. I know that's another big thing that I was looking for. I don't want to, I was just lost my husband, and I remember moving into this place by myself, and I saw Molly Trotter on the Yes Lord Collective that Jessica Shakur had and I was in. And it was just like, whoa, there are people out there. And one thing can I touch on this, Virginia?
Sure.
A lot of times we feel like, well, that says find my people, but that's a myth. This is me. Community. Once again, I had some counseling through this, but my friend said, what about this? This is a new way you're doing community right now. Well, granted, I'd love to see Virginia every day. I'd love to see her more than once a year. Maybe they'll do 2 conferences.
Yeah.
But I see I see Virginia every Tuesday at 3 p.m. my time. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay, she's on the screen, but we're sharing in on the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is community. Because I get a lot of texts and emails of people just struggling in my DMs, and they're just sharing their hearts. And I don't immediately jump on them and say, "You need Girl Power Alliance," just to love them and to share. And then some do go and look at your Girl Power Alliance. But I think this Sacred 60 Challenge is a great way to join together with other women. And one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have a weekly check-in, weekly community. Let's have coffee. And as we're going through the 60-day challenge,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I'm going to do with the people who maybe sign up under that link down below. What's your slash, Virginia?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Sacredchallenge.com, Virginia.
// Virginia. So I'm not trying to hog this. I'm just really excited about it because going into the new year, what a great way to start on even
Oh,
just one of them, gratitude. My goodness, that alters the science proves that it alters the
mhm.
structure of your brain just by being grateful. But you add all the others. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, it does, because one of the other things that we learned in RLA is, our mind is like, like a beach. Okay. And if you've ever like drawn a line in the sand and that it kind of
Yeah,
makes a little indentation. But if you keep doing that, pretty soon you're going to have a trench. And that's our negative thoughts. So when you keep telling yourself, I'm not enough,
yeah,
I can't do it, oh, I'm not pretty enough. And you keep telling yourself that, you keep triggering that trench in your mind,
yeah,
you know, that's when you get ugly. People don't want to be around a person that's negative and that. But when you start telling yourself, you know what? I think I can do that. I'm just going to take one step of faith. I'm just going to do this one action. I am going to jump on Theresa's Sacred Challenge link, and I'm just going to go with it too. Especially when she says she's got a little coffee chat every week. I'm thinking, I want to come be on
you
coffee with
can come.
Theresa. Yeah, you
No,
know.
but that's. I mean,
And
that's my
so as
mom.
you're going through this, because
Oh,
it's
she's showing my cat too. And
yeah.
those who are listening can't see the cat that just jumped in my lap. No,
So
but that's good.
what
And
you're
don't you think this will give them a taste of Girl Power Alliance?
oh, I think it will, because you know what why people might come in for the courses and the certifications, but
Yeah,
what they stay for is the community,
yeah,
and the money's not bad either.
right. And it's awesome. It's almost like I think some of the glue that holds it together is almost every day there's some sort of call, a prayer call,
Hmm.
opportunity call, a Wednesday night leadership call. I think that just, you know, and then of course if you're in like Radiant Leadership Academy, you're seeing people. I'm sorry, but it's real. They may be in little squares, but I'm in another mastermind, and I went to the mastermind. I couldn't believe people who said, "Oh, I know you," but they only knew me from that little square. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, how do I know this? Oh, they sound okay. They said they see me on the conference calls. Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
cat, he really wants to. You know what it is? My cat is attracted to people I love. If my mom calls, if I'm talking on a Zoom with Alana, if I'm talking on the Zoom with someone, okay, there we go. He didn't bother me yesterday, and I
Yeah.
had sorry, he's really good, and I had someone on, but he didn't bother me. Okay,
He
sorry.
probably just like, oh, I heard she was a farm.
Yeah, I
She
hear
might
she's
have other cats.
a dog.
I
Those of
hope
you
you can't hear my two, probably 45 dogs out there now.
well, those of
They're
you
barking
on the
because
podcast, I mean, are listening. I'm sorry, but this cat is nonstop jumping on my lap. Okay, go on, go on, go on.
that's
So,
the mean cat.
okay, let's just be real life in a podcast with Theresa. So, let's talk about this. I love your podcast title. Do tell when it's going to be released and the title of it. I am so excited for this.
Well, the podcast title that I think I'm going to go with is Harvesting Without the Hustle.
Oh, talk to me, girl.
And I think we're going to release it on New Year's Eve, if I can get everything done in order to release it. Otherwise, it'll be shortly thereafter, after the beginning of the
But
year.
isn't that a great? I love my podcasting. It's like my
I am
hobby.
cracking up because she's just like throwing this cat here and there.
Everyone's dead. No one else can see that. Oh,
You might as well just pat the cat on your lap.
we're just having a good old time. So,
But the reason why I kind of, because the other one was faith fueled,
uh,
and I kind of took it to, like the outside world, that kind of didn't understand about rest. And then I took it, to both of them. And it was kind of funny because the women that, aren't really like Christian, and that they like the faith fueled one more, but the ones that were Christian, which is my Christian entrepreneurial networking woman, is kind of my targeted market. And they really reacted more to the harvesting without the hustle, because that is one thing, as network marketers, and that we were so like, got to do this, got to get this DMO done, daily method of operation,
yeah.
but we have to have, this many appointments every day. And I just got so burnt out in 28 years doing that with my other two businesses that I'm like, no. So when I decided to do, Girls Power Alliance as a business, I'm like, okay, I have to learn how to do business, God's way, so that I am not like always on the phone, always on the computer, do.
Yes.
And that I want to work this the way God wants me to. And what I learned, you want to know the secret to it all? How to do it in rest?
Yeah.
You just ask God in the morning, okay, can you please show me the women that you want me to
Nice.
talk to today?
Nice.
Would you please show me the women that I'm talking to who I should share about GPA?
Oh, I love that.
And I'm just like, after 28 years, that's all I had to do to operate and rest. And that's how you can harvest, because harvesting, you can't have harvest without planting.
Right.
I know there's a lot of people out there that think, okay, when they join a network marketing company, oh, I want to make $5,000 a month, but they still spend 30 hours a week sitting in front of scrolling on social media for no good reason. And they're sitting there watching Netflix shows, because if you ever want to test somebody, if you have a network marketing gal that, that you've enrolled, and she's whining that she's not making any money, not getting any leads, here's a couple questions you can ask her. Want to know them?
Sure. Talk to me, girl.
Okay. Well, share with me, what TV shows have you watched this past week? What Netflix are you watching right now? Shows. And they will just go off and tell you. And when they get all done with that, I tell them, well, that's probably why you're not getting any leads or getting any sales, because you're kind of putting all your time into that. And so that was one thing that I have learned, to and it's a leadership thing, because you can only teach them, you can teach them what the tools are, you can teach them, kind of how to get the words out right, how to send messages correctly without spamming and irritating people. But what you can't do is do the work for them. And that was one thing that I had to learn, because I would get so frustrated because people would not be successful underneath me. Well, it's because they didn't have the same work ethic that I did. Because in the morning, right after my scripture time, that's when I go and I do my daily method of operation. That's when I have, okay, this is what I do every day. And that's why I'm starting to get people underneath me. And then I'm like, okay. And then another thing too, you should ask them, okay, show me your numbers.
Yeah.
And when you start teaching people that way, that they know they are not going to be able to whine to you without numbers.
Yeah.
And that they will get busy because, but at the same time, even if they get like, maybe they're supposed to be doing like 5, approaches every day, but if they only get 2, then you take time and you celebrate that with them.
Sure.
Because that's a big thing for them.
The bottom line, though, is you said it. It comes from that I always think out of the overflow of your time with God, you know what the rest to run.
Mhm.
You know what the best verse for rest to run is? It's Hebrews 11, verse 11 in the Passion Translation. And it goes like this. It's talking about Sarah. And Sarah's faith embraced God's miracle working power, even though she had some slack going on, even though she was past the age of childbearing, she knew the promise, even though she was too old to conceive. But what did she do? The authority of her faith rested in the one who promised, rested in the authority of the one who promised. So that's a lot of rest. So when she
Mhm.
worked, then it says, and she tapped into his faithfulness. So as Virginia goes each day, she asks God, who do I need to talk to? How do I need to take up? She is tapping into her faithfulness that God's building inside of her as a leader. And she's resting, but she's running.
Mhm.
It's like, that's the way I want to live. I'll sit there and I'm in the midst of something really productive, so I know what I need to do. But I'll sit there and think, okay, God, this is what I want to do, but really, what do I need to do for you? Or what do I need to do that's a part? Yeah, we want to be successful. We're business. We're wealth advocates for the kingdom of God. Come on. That
Mhm.
means some action. So I hope this blesses someone that they're like, wow, I like that. Or maybe you're thinking, hey, I want to be under Virginia's leadership. Go to Girl Power Alliance /Virginia. Girl Power Alliance /Virginia. I'm the same thing, but I'm just simple TEE. That's a starting point. But if all else, listen, if all else, take us up on the 60 Sacred 60 Challenge. That will
Mhm.
give you a full blown of what's really the power behind a group called Girl Power Alliance, a business. And I think it'll give you a realize that, yeah, I may be creating wealth and, in a business, but at the same time, so many other good things are coming. And I believe you'll be like Virginia, where you start to find your voice. I think first you find your voice in your family. That can be the most difficult audience. But then as you grow, you say, hey, wait a minute. I don't feel like I can speak, but I'm going to take that Radiant Speaker Academy. Or I'm going to get myself, like Virginia did, into that Radiant Leadership Academy and really work on some personal and professional development. I think that is the start. Personal development, knowing who you are, finding
Mhm.
your voice, finding your identity. I think that's the start to your dreams of where you want to be.
Yep.
So, and it's never too late. Like I hate to say it. I don't like my age, but how old are you now? You're a young pup, I know.
54.
54, she's young. Look at what we're doing. I'm 60. I hate saying that. So this is something for someone. Someone's listening and they think they're past the age of prime. Can I say this to you? Your best years are ahead of you. Your
Yeah.
best years are ahead of you.
I know. Like another girl that we met at the conference, she's 70. Mona's 70.
Jeez, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
How old's Lynn from Canada?
I'm not sure. She's never shared, but she looks like she's she
I'm
looks like
just
she's
saying
50 something,
these
but
are
I know
like
she's got
legends.
kids in her 30s and
Yeah,
40s. So
these are like legends. I call them legends, the ones
oh
that are
yeah.
in World Power Alliance and
Yeah.
come up and
Lynn's a prayer warrior.
slap a prayer or slap a prophetic word on you. This has been so fun. I made it go longer because I'm afraid the beginning of this, let's just be all real. I maybe edit this out, but when my computer crashed, I didn't push this very important button. So Virginia may have been talking. This is gonna be fun editing you. I'll tell you what. The joy of technology. I have never had that happen.
You
Actually,
know what?
I
Last night I did a Be the Change event with Fairlith,
okay.
and I never have problems on Zoom. I mean, putting in the videos,
Uh,
switching screens, and that getting the other co-host on. The devil was working extra hard
I'm so sorry.
yesterday
Yeah.
so that we would not get the message out because there were some girls there that were going to join, and he
Oh,
just did not want
yeah.
share the message. I have never had so many technical issues in my
Wow.
life. And then I thought I lost the recording. Thank
Oh,
God for Zoom support and Fairlith. They
yeah.
panicked me down and I
I
was able to get it.
understand.
And
That
that,
is the world we live in, where we do rely on. But isn't it great, though? I mean, I'm sorry about that, but I mean, I still think, isn't it great that we can, have Zoom? And I use what's called StreamYard, which you're watching now if you're watching on live, but I just love it. I think it's just, I always said a long time ago, this is even before the pandemic, I used to say, speak, the world's listening.
Yep.
Online.
Right.
Oh,
And
awesome.
that.
Well,
And so
I'm going to ask a little personal question. So, are you going to go through the Speaker Academy again, or are you too busy?
I'm
Online.
online. I'm going to go through that again because I
Yeah.
think it, even the girls that didn't go through the certification through the stage part, and
Yeah.
that I seen the girls that went through that, they got better with their lives. They got better with
Oh,
communication
wow.
online. So
Nice.
even if you're not going to do the whole certification, go and take that course because it is so important to release your voice and to make sure that you get equipped so that you know how to talk
Yeah.
on that, because you can try and wing it on your own and eventually you will get pretty good at it. But hey, if you can shave off years of frustration
So good.
and years of maybe messing it up and doing it wrong, if you can do that and come equipped, because they not only did that, but they taught us how to sit during an interview. They taught us how to stand in an interview. And let me tell you, when we walked out onto stage up there, and that there was no podium. I was expecting a podium.
I know you are.
I mean, I came with my little black book. I had my little speech all
Oh,
typed
it's
up,
so I
and
agree.
because I had given a couple sermons before that during the summer, kind of to practice. And
Yeah.
that, and of course, I had my little podium, and I was just able to flip through it, and I
That's
was
a
very
TED Talk.
confident.
There's no podium in a TED Talk. That's the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, and I was just like, what the heck? There's no podium, and that was the one thing, because you were live and you had to, and they taught us how to use the stage, and
Yeah.
that, because that was one of the things that I kind of got feedback on, because I just locked eyes with the one judge,
Yeah.
and
That's a good.
that's who I looked at. She loved it.
Yeah. On a side note of this, because we live in such a age of the internet, if you have a business, I think it's good for you, or a service, to learn how to speak on camera, learn how to be comfortable on an Instagram live, because the world's just will stop for a video, maybe then they'll stop just for your post. So just an encouragement there, to consider that. And that's one reason why I did a podcast course, because every place conference I went, I kept hearing, I want to know how to do a podcast. And I'm thinking, I know how to do a podcast. Better yet, I know how to be it quicker and easier with artificial intelligence, with AI. So you kind of got to go, what is people talking around you? You be the answer for that. And and a lot of times, if you want to be the answer, you've got to be seen. As Jen Gottlieb says, one of my coaches, you have to be seen. You got to get over the imposter syndrome. I'm sorry, I'm preaching. So this has been so much fun. Any concluding thoughts that you want to leave with our audience, Jenny?
Well, I would just say, just get into action, because here's another thing too. In the Bible, it tells when the Israelites finally got to a chance to cross over the Jordan and take their promised land, God gave them one action to do. He's like, first, put your foot in the water, and that was the Jordan River. So the priests, they're carrying this big heavy ark, and they said, "What? We got to step our foot in this water?" And at the time, the Jordan River was a mile wide. If you do some research on it, the Jordan River was like a mile wide, like the Mississippi. So you have to have enough faith that God is going to clear the pathway for you, but it takes faith. It takes that first step of utter faith. Get that? Utter faith.
I like that, utter faith. He's a farmer if you're just coming in late. Milking cows if you just came in late.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to have that utter faith of just taking that step.
And you can be a believer and still have fun. And you just go around Jenny, and you'll know that you can be a believer and have fun. And sometimes words spit out that you don't mean for them to spit out, but you know that this lady is real deal to the core. So man, what a fun thing. What a great way to unleash a new podcast with Unleashing Kingdom Voices. And you truly represent that, Virginia. And I
Thank you.
believe God's going to open more doors for you to walk in and release your voice. I believe your podcast is going to be a beacon of light on a hill. I believe that you're going to be able to retire that farming at the right time. And God is just, you know what? God's like, that's my girl. Your papa loves you. So, Jenny, thank you so much. And if you're listening, this is the Kingdom Voice. See, I can't even say it.
Unleash the
Releasing
Kingdom
Kingdom Voices podcast. I changed it from the Kingdom Mentor podcast. So forgive that little spill. But we really appreciate you. Once again, you can go to girlpoweralliance.com/T or Virginia and do. This is something you could do. sacred60challenge.com/T or /Virginia. And just kind of figure out some of the things that we believe are non-negotiables. And from the source of those non-negotiables, reading the Bible, taking walks, drinking lots of water, having a gratitude journal, connecting with people, those are non-negotiable, but those are the foundation of where we go forward. And we'd love to join with us. So, Virginia, thank you so much. Got to do
Thanks
it
for
again.
inviting me.
Yeah, I can't wait for your podcast to come out. Once again, thank you again for joining us. I'm Theresa Croft. I'll talk to you in the next episode of the Kingdom Voices Unleashed podcast.